Hey there, everybody. Lisa Duerre coming at you live. I am, oh my gosh, what am I? Well, first of all, synchronicity. If you're watching the video, you've got to see my guest, Taryn Laakso. You're going to crack up. We got on and we didn't plan this, but we are both wearing clothes that is very similar, earrings that are similar. I mean, this is just, here's the thing I want to say, and this is the story I want to start with. And if you're listening while you're driving, whatever, right? Do you ever notice the synchronicities when you show up fully open and ready, right? When you just, it's, listen, Taryn and I both had mornings. We both have families. Everything's going wild, right? We never talked. And here we show up wearing the similar clothing and then having this brief conversation before we go live with this podcast about life and how much we have in common. So here's what I want to say to everyone listening. You're going to find some nuggets today that are going to be familiar to you. And what Taryn and I want to make sure we do is not just make you feel like, oh, I'm not alone, right? Which is super important, but we want to help you in your stuck spots and in the areas where you're just feeling maybe less than you want to feel, feeling confused or stuck, perhaps, just demoralized, de-energized, is that a word? De-energized? Lethargic might be a better word. If you got any of that going on, like today's for you. And let me tell you about Taryn. And first of all, Taryn, I'm just glad you're here. I'm so excited to do this with you. Yay.
I am so excited to be here with you, Lisa. This has been something I've been looking forward to for weeks now.
Oh, me too. But let me tell you why I'm excited about Taryn. First of all, I've known Taryn for, I'm going to say 2 years, and we run in similar circles when it comes to building our businesses, helping our clients. And she actually is the one that exposed me to one of the most amazing tools that we'll talk about today when it comes to mental fitness. And I'm so grateful for that. But let me tell you about Taryn. So she ignites professionals who've lost their mojo and are feeling stagnant in their careers. And through her leadership coaching programs, she does that, right? She believes leaders are responsible for their world and deserve to show up with confidence and clarity in all areas of their lives. Taryn has over 20 years working in HR tech and brings a consultative approach to her coaching. She loves to help her clients intercept their inner critic's thoughts and grow their confidence by raising their positive intelligence quotient, which is something I alluded to when I called it mental fitness. So Taryn, I love that you have the tech experience. I know you know about HR systems. I know you know about people. I know you've lived in tech right alongside me. And when I met you, I felt like I found a soul sister. And I just want to unleash your awesomeness today and bring everything you can to our listeners so that they can make this time, it's like a mini retreat for themselves, for their soul, for, to align their head and their hearts. And listen, leaders in tech are burning out. Leaders in tech are tired. Leaders in tech love this, innovative world. That's why they're in there. But boy, disruption and constant changing world that we're in right now. What's your experience there? And let's just like level set here when it comes to burnout and, tech. And then when it comes to your positive intelligence quotient, let's talk about that.
Yeah. It's real. You're not alone. I mean, that's the first thing that comes to mind. I am seeing this through several of my clients. They're just feeling like it's the Groundhog's Day and they're just doing the same thing over and over. And it feels like they're pushing a boulder up the hill to get their projects done, to get their team aligned, to anything that is what they're doing feels hard, really hard. And they're just burned out. They're frustrated. They're like, there's something more. I'm missing something. That's really the message I'm getting from them. So they're turning to me. They're like, help me find that thing. So it's like, well, what is it that I'm missing? They have to figure that part out. And then, well, where can I bring it into my life? How do I bring this into my life?
Yeah. And are you finding too, let me ask you this, because when I was burning out, I didn't know I was burning out. I really just thought.
I didn't either.
I thought I was failing, right? I thought something's wrong. Maybe it's old age. I mean, I'm cracking up, right? Because listen, I burned out a couple times in my life, but it was always like, I'm not as crisp as I used to be. And I'm really angry all the time. And I'm way more foggy brained, right? And I never use the word foggy brained. I would say like forgetful. So with the clients that you're seeing in your own experience, what are some symptoms? Because I don't think tech leaders go, oh, I'm burning out. Nobody talks like that. It's like a label we can use to kind of level set. But I think fundamentally underneath, when you think about productivity and just energy and results, which is, why we're all here, to make this impact, what are some descriptors or some experiences so people can, peel this back a bit and go, oh, wait, I do have that. Or sometimes I feel this way.
Oh my gosh, so much is coming to my head, Lisa, because I think it manifests in different ways depending on the personality of the person. So I'm seeing it as people who are checking out on life. They're either drinking or they're binge watching a lot of TV because they're so exhausted and they want a place to just check out and not have their brains going all the time. I'm seeing it in like trying to control everything. Really trying to keep it all together, right?
I'm raising my hand.
I was in that place, right?
I never said that, but yeah, the rigidity, right? Rigidity.
Like it has to go this way. If I'm not in control, it's out of control. And just this like avoidance and that actually flips back into that place of like either having a drink at night or watching too much Netflix, that might be the top one, or just not even stop making decisions. Yes, I've got a client who's just like, I don't even want to make decisions anymore because I'm doing it all the time at work. And so she's not showing up in her family, in her relationship. She just checks out in that way.
You know what? Let's double click on that because I think that's a really important point, right? So when you have someone who, is running their company, they're running their division, they might just be running their team, whatever layer you are in leadership in tech. I feel my head and my heart, they're aligned on this one. Work comes first, everything else comes second. And that's why I'm on a mission about the moments that matter. That's why I talk about this all the time, being present for the moments that matter. So let's go there. Let's talk about how someone who might be burning out, you might be burning out because I think for me, at least, listen, my own experience, my husband told me I was burning out. People at work told me I was burning out. They never said you're burning out. They're like, you're not yourself, right? I miss the old Lisa. What's going on? Something's not right. These are the kind of conversations that would be had. But mostly people at work didn't say a damn thing. We just kept going. And then at home is where it really showed up. I feel like when it got really, really bad, that's when I started getting pissed off at work and really like, I'm not going to that damn meeting, blah, blah, blah. And I'd sit in the other room and just, dial it in so that no one could read my face. But yeah, so if you're sitting in rooms and not on camera and dialing it in to just get through the meeting, you might be burning out. Right. So let's talk about that for a minute, because I know you have experience with this too. So what are you seeing between how people are showing up at work, whether you're a remote worker or in person, face to face, and then showing up at home? Is there some insight you can share there for our listeners so they can try and, assess where they are on the scale?
Ooh, on the scale. I think you're at risk of burning out when you are in this place of, you said it earlier, the foggy brain, like unable to make quick decisions, just frustrated because you feel like you're doing it all and you're so exhausted and you don't want to be doing it all. I would say that was something I was sitting with for several years, is like, why is it all on me? And getting really frustrated with that one.
Amen. Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Like, why am I doing that? I don't even want to do this. Like I'm giving up in showing up as a parent, as a partner. I'm done. And that just breeds a yuckiness inside, right?
Totally. Yeah. Let's talk about what we can do about this. So I think there's enough here that people can go, okay, so let's not stay in the shit. Let's like move to like how we get out of it, right? So if you have identified yourself or someone you love in any of these, this is for you. Because now we're going to shift from how do you identify it? And believe me, there's evaluations you can take. There's checklists, this is out there.
It's just, you're in this doo-doo. You're in the doo-doo.
When you're in it, it's really hard to see your way out. And so we want to show you and share our own experiences and what we help our clients with today. So let's talk about this amazing thing, this transformational space to go from in the doo-doo, as you say, or I'm going to say, you know, in the ick. Oh, I said shit, so I'll just say it again. Right? For those of you with children, plug the ears, right? Talk to me about, okay, so I think I got some of this going on and I don't like it. And before it gets so bad, I want to do something about it, because like catching it in the middle is way better than catching it like me when I was in the emergency room. So let's talk about emotional fitness. Let's talk about positive intelligence quotient. Let's share some tips.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, first lay the context, of course, right? I mean, I will get to the tips, but I think we to level set it, especially for people who love formulas, right, and codes. This is a way to crack the code, and I just love it. So yes.
Yeah, the code. Okay, so positive intelligence, what in this space that I'm playing around with is the PQ. So your positive intelligent quotient, which is the number of positive thoughts divided by negative thoughts equals your positive quotient, I think. Or is it, I might have them reversed. I don't remember it top up, but it's a formula where is the number of negative thoughts that you're having on a regular basis more than your positive thoughts.
Yep.
And we've heard this, right? 3-to-1 ratio. So really, to be in a healthy mental state, you want 3-to-1 positives to 1 negative. Can you intercept those quickly enough so that you're not being hijacked by the negative thoughts? And the negative thoughts emerge in worry, anxiety, shame, blame, not feeling like you're good enough. Like that's that energy of negativity.
Oh, hold on. You're talking about like the human experience.
Yes, right. Yeah. It's universal.
Right? Yeah, in the always on, never good enough land of tech, I think you guys can identify with this, right? Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when you have, if you have more negative thoughts or experiences, feelings of not good enough, like I used to be like, how come I can't find my car? I'm so stupid, right? But I had a huge parking lot and I wasn't focused on that. Or, you know, some of my clients are like, man, that guy gets under my skin. I just don't even want to talk to him. And we work with, you know, how can you build a relationship with someone you don't like when you have to get the job done? Because as a leader, guess what? That's your job. You got to figure it out. So whether it's I'm stupid, I can't find my car, to that guy drives me crazy, I don't want to work with him, and everywhere in between, what's some guidance you can give our listeners around? Because what I know is you have to catch yourself first and even become aware, and then you can do something about it. So how do you raise your awareness? How do you realize, oh yeah, boy, I mean, is it like tick marks on a piece of paper, or how can people become more aware so they can move into that space?
Lisa, I love what you just said. It can be as simple as the tick marks, just to observe how many times in the day am I feeling negative about something, about myself, about somebody else, or around the circumstances. Just mark them. Like that is alone a way to start recognizing the pattern of negativity and how much you're being impacted by it. To flip it into a different place is awareness. So awareness, then interception, and then choosing a different way of showing up. So the way I intercept is, okay, I'm feeling ick. Now I make a choice. What do I want to do next? I am going to just go into the moment. And this can be as quick as 2 minutes or less than 2 minutes of touching the ridges of your fingertips together.
I love this so much. Yeah.
I like that one's like so simple. Like if you're looking at the video, it's like put the 2 fingertips together and focus intently and feel the ridges on your fingertips. Maybe close your eyes, do whatever, but you're focusing so intently on that you can't even think about anything else.
Yes. You know, and when I was growing up, we, you know, I'm just going to go there, you know, this is how I roll. So it's like, oh, this really sucks, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, my mom or my sister or whatever, they'd step on my toe or run over my toe with the bike or whatever. All of a sudden, all my focus is on my toe and nothing else sucked. Right. So I laugh at this this like simplicity of making a choice to go, I'm not going to focus on everything that's wrong or myself because I'm not good enough. I'm going to go focus on my fingertips for a minute and like just get myself centered in the moment. It's so cool. Now, I'd rather rub my fingertips together than having someone step on my foot really hard. But hey, you know, you do you, you know?
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many things I want to like bounce off of this one, but having you're running over your toe is like, how long do you want to keep your hand on the hot stove?
Yep. Yep.
Right. We are naturally designed as humans to pull our hand off when we touch the hot stove. So that's what in mental fitness you're doing is you're raising awareness around when you're touching something hot and going, ooh, ouch, I need to pull my hand back.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can make a choice. Do I run my hand under the cold water? What self-care do I need to do in that moment to intercept and to think of a different choice of a way you want to show up?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the superpowers come in, right? You can be like, do I approach this with curiosity? How can I get curious about this situation? Why am I feeling this way? What is it that this person might need in this moment? Maybe they need love and empathy versus criticism.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that conversation could go a whole lot differently when you're holding curiosity and empathy.
Yes. Yeah. What I want to double click on what you just said, the hot stove, I love it. It's better than the running over my foot on accident, right? Because you're in control, right? If your hand's on the stove and you take it off. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to lean really close. I'm going in here. So your job description as a leader, a business owner, a CEO, down to frontline manager, is to inspire and bring out the best in your people for the results of the company. And if you're a company worth working for, you're also giving back, right? I mean, listen, my 2 cents, this is how I feel. Your job is to do this. Your job is not to sit in your shit and like check out. Don't check out. You are a horrible leader when you are not present with your team. You're not a great partner when you're not present with your family. And guess what? You're doing it to yourself and you don't even know it. Like there's so much choice here. Okay. And I'm not trying to be black and white ones and zeros on this. There's a scale and I have been there. I have done it. I got the t-shirt. Okay. But what I know what Taryn's talking about, because I've been through this program with her, is making that simple choice before that next email where you want to rip someone a new one. Making that simple choice before you pick up the phone to like, I can't believe, you're going to be late again. Making that simple choice to like show up and be your best so that not only can you be received well, but you can actually have a bigger impact. Could be as simple as rubbing your fingers together. And
so simple.
Why don't we do this, Taryn? Like, why don't we do this?
We're not taught how to do this. We actually need to be shown how to have a mindful moment throughout the day. And it's more than just like sitting in a meditative room for 30 minutes when you wake up in the morning, because it's a battery. You need to keep it charged throughout the day. And so taking those little breaks of right before a meeting, or heck, this is going to feel a little like out there, but actually inviting your whole team. If you've got an hour-long meeting, everybody's been jumping from Zoom call to Zoom call or room to room, wherever you're at in your life, and frantic. That energy is just
absolutely
like, oh, this buzzy thing. If you actually, as a leader, invite everyone in to take 1 minute, maybe even 2, if you're really challenging, and just say, hey, everybody, I want you to close your eyes and just focus on your breath or your fingertips for 2 minutes. Let's all get grounded. I need to get centered here. Now you're leading. You're showing up in a place.
I flippin' love that. Yes.
Right? And everybody gets grounded. And now there's a sense of calm. So it goes from frenzy to calm in under 2 minutes.
Absolutely.
Now what's possible with that meeting?
Yes. I love it so much. One of the things that I've been doing I do a lot of team workshops with my clients, right? So they're back to back, just like you said. And I have them shake their hands and then they're like, I'll do it first. Right. And they're like, what? No, I'm not going anywhere until I see some shaking. We're not starting. Right. What? But as the leader, I owe them that. I owe them, to get their body moving, to get their blood flowing, and to laugh. Because boy, do they start laughing. Like, this is so ridiculous.
And laughter is such a balm, and it switches the brain. Because what we're doing here is we're going from the reptilian part of our brain, the fight or flight space. And now we're saying we're intercepting that. Yep. We're gonna switch into the executive leadership part of our brain and into our bodies.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I love it so much. So everyone listening, you can either rub your fingers, you can shake it off, right? Sometimes I use music when, if I'm leading a meeting, I'll have the music on when people show up, and that changes everything, because who brings, DJ Lisa's in the house. What other tips, Taryn? So if no one wants to rub their fingers, because people are like, what's that? But listen, try it, double dog dare you. Mm-hmm. So I did the shake your hands, the music. What other ideas do you have to help for leaders to be get more grounded and shift from negative self-talk or negative judgment of others into like curiosity and being present? What other tips do you share with your clients?
First, on full permission to take the pause, because the pause is going to get you there. So go slow to go fast. Mm-hmm. And in that pause, wiggle your toes.
Oh my gosh,
right? On the ground and wiggle your toes. Mm-hmm. No one can see that underneath the conference table, right? Or if you're on a Zoom call underneath your desk. Rub your hands on your pants or your skirt or something texture-wise. Mm-hmm. What is it? But this one, I love this one. Looking specifically at the person across from you or on the other side of the Zoom camera and say like, oh, I'm going to look at their earrings right now. I'm going to look at their glasses. I'm looking at Lisa's hair, and I'm really focusing on her versus myself, getting yourself out of that inner critic place.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. Okay. So everyone's got some sort of tip at this point, right? So once you're there, you intercept, as you said, right? So first you notice, then you intercept. What's the next step? So, you can do this in like less than 3 minutes, people. So as we're helping everybody, step 1, I'm just writing my own notes, right? Notice. Step 2 is intercept. However it feels good for you. What's step 3?
Choose. You get to choose your superpower at this point. And what I mean by superpower is there's empathy. Do you have empathy for yourself? If that criticism is, I'm not good enough, imagine yourself as a 5-year-old child. What would you want to tell that version of yourself? And to flip it around, what's the empathy that you can have for the person across from you? What might they be going through?
Mm-hmm. So empathy for self and others, choose the superpower.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go here with you. So This is what I just love saying this so much. What the world needs now is love, sweet love, right? No joke. No flippin' joke. So in all of this, always on, never good enough, check your email at midnight, work on weekends, give it your all. One thing I wonder is, what feeling are you chasing? What feeling do you choose to stay in? What is the feeling of the always on, never good enough? Because listen, it's rampant. And the way that it changes is person by person and choice by choice. And my belief is that head and heart together is where the magic happens. When you integrate so listen, what's right, but what do you feel what's right? So honestly, when you say empathy, I was going to say choose love, like self-love and love for others. And I love love, obviously. Heck, I have hearts on my scarf today. Something about love at work, right? So I bring this up and people are like, I'm not talking romantic love. I'm talking about love for your human partners, like love for the planet. You can have people, profits, and planet. You can have relationships and revenue. I feel compelled to talk to you about love.
I'm all about that word. And you're right. It's more than a romantic love. I feel like compassion, that word popped up for me as you were speaking, Lisa. Where do we have compassion for ourselves and others right now? We are all struggling to get through life right now. It's not easy. We're having to make difficult choices on a regular basis. And we're all doing the best that we possibly can on any given moment. So there's a lot of compassion. And I show this by like putting a hand on the heart and a hand on the stomach. Like, where can I love myself and love others through this?
Yeah, I even think when you said compassion and empathy, I started going to appreciation.
Yeah,
so I think what's lacking right now in a lot of people's lives is feeling appreciated. So one of my drivers, and I'll talk about my own PQ experience, hyperachiever, right? So if
Yep.
hyperachiever, I believe, translates almost to work addiction for some people, and that was me.
Mm-hmm.
But fundamentally, the feeling I was chasing was appreciation, right? The feeling I was chasing was importance. The feeling I was chasing was impact. And when I look back at how I got to where I did when I burnt out, I didn't notice that I was always telling myself it wasn't good enough. I didn't intercept that to look at all of the great things I did. So one of my tips, any tip for you, if you have LinkedIn, go look at your recommendations when you're feeling shitty about yourself. It's mind blowing what people have to say about you. So that might be one way to kind of reframe and intercept. But when you think about empathy, compassion, love, the thing that, what I really want to say to anybody who's listening right now is you're not alone, and you've been programmed by society, by whatever family situation you had in, and your own life experience, right? That it's never good enough. But right, you were born good enough.
Yes,
like you talk about like your 5-year-old child, right? Like that 5-year-old child is good enough, right? And so if you have all of this, amazing talent, all of this amazing mind, learning when it comes to just the engineering mindset, engineering and science, and you have all this to give to the world, but you don't feel appreciated, guess what? Your tank's going to get flippin' empty.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to look at it for yourself and for your teams. So when I look at this, one thing that's standing out for me when you're talking about these 3 steps, notice, intercept, and choose. I wonder, Taryn, am I on track here that the choice is not only about yourself, but the other person?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's both.
Or the situation. And maybe it's a situation,
right? Yeah.
Okay.
It's when we are looking at the other person and we get to choose, how do we want to be in relationship with the other, yourself, the other person, or the search situation? It's all choice.
Yeah.
And are you wanting to be in right relationship or in a toxic type of relationship?
Yeah. So I'll just stay with you on this because I think this is so important. So Taryn and I both worked in tech and we know, right? People show up in the meetings and listen, you're only as good as your last tape out, your last product release, your last code. Okay. And when teams have to work together, but they're, compensated for different results, guess what? You're going to have tension. And as a leader, the best thing I think you can do is acknowledge the tension. So let's say the person handing off the code, it's not the way you want it, but they met the deadline and they did the best they could in their mind. And they're like, oh crap, now I got to go hand it off and I'm going to get my ass chewed, right? Imagine if you showed up as that leader and said, listen, I know this isn't perfect. Here's how we got here. Here's the gap that I see. I'd like to hand it off to you, but how can I support you in receiving this and then doing what you need to do, right? Now, I know people don't talk like this. I'm talking about the thought process inside, right? It might be like, hey, Joe, we're here again. You're not going to like what we've got. Let me tell you what's good about it, right? And let me tell you what I appreciate about you receiving something that's not to the standards you want. And then Joe gets to go, thanks for acknowledging it's not perfect, right? I totally get you guys are trying. We're under tremendous crunch. Here's what I need from you for this to work, right? So that handoff moment, and I know not everybody talks the way I talk. However, you can pull through the messaging behind it, which is acknowledging what's good, what still needs to be done, appreciating what you're giving this person, whether it's a pile of poop or the most amazing code, and then that person appreciating the fact that you acknowledged it. Because what I see a lot in tech is here's the email, here's the file, good luck. And that's not a relationship. So tell me what you want. I know you have things to say.
Oh my gosh, so much. It's what we're talking about is creating a space where they are being seen and it's acknowledgement that this is not the best work. And that moment of vulnerability actually stops the blame and shaming game that we sit in all the time. Oh, how many meetings have I been in? It's like, those developers, they just totally didn't get what we wanted. Or we as the client in HR, they just can't even articulate what they want anymore. Like the blame and shame is just such as negative energy in the space. It's really hard to show up with like, I know this is not exactly what you were looking for, but here's what we came up with. And is there something else? Like, can we build off of this?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And like, yes.
It's a yes and every time.
And
yes.
Can we do something else?
Yeah. And I think it starts with owning it, right? And one of the things that I've noticed in high performing teams and the teams that I work with, I'm constantly, reinforcing to them, what are your strengths? How are you organizing the work? Who is responsible for the handoff, right? Because really this is about communication. This is about influence. And this is about, clarity and confidence in yourself, that it's okay if it's not perfect. Because what's in the way of everything is perfection, right? And this whole thing that happens when you think about energy and innovation, right? Oh, those developers, yeah, they never get it right. I mean, how many times did I have my feelings myself? Because I did. And you got to check that. So notice, oh, I think developers suck. Okay, intercept. When have developers not sucked? When there's trust and relationship. Perhaps I want to go build that. Choose. I'm going to choose to say, listen, this is not to spec. And I know you tried really hard. How can I help you get it to spec next time? And what can I count on you now as we move into this next phase? Whatever, right? We're really talking about showing up human, and the love part meaning about yourself, being loving enough to recognize we're all human, and being loving enough to open up a dialogue around what can we do moving forward so we don't have this again, rather than ripping someone a new whatever you want to call it, and then just shaming them to shit, and then they go home and feel crappy. Like,
and then
anybody.
Right, that impacts those families that they're now like, I feel really bad about myself, so now I'm going to take it out on my partner and or my kids or other family members, and that's the cycle that I want to intercept.
Totally. Yes.
The ripple effect of the negativity, because it doesn't just go in and out in a moment. It stays there, and it's going to get displaced someplace else in a way that you really don't want it to get dispersed through.
Yeah, I'm with you on so many levels, and I really appreciate that we can go here on this, because we're not talking about, learning a new language. We're just talking about bringing your whole self to work. Right? And we're talking about noticing, intercepting, and choosing your response rather than, and choosing the story you tell yourself. Heck, I mean, we all know Brene Brown by now, right? And we know the power of vulnerability, but what story are you telling yourself? Choose your freaking story. And listen, I had to learn this the hard way. So I'm just I want to save you time and emergency room visits. That's why I'm bringing it up. Okay. So, oh my gosh, I know you read an HBR article, and we were talking about it briefly today. And I think that had to do with something that fits here right now. And I don't even want to quote it wrong. So I'm just going to pause and hand it back to you to talk about this, because I think it ties nicely to what we're talking about.
Well, yeah, the article talked about how to keep your cool in high stress situations.
Well, I mean, look at that, right?
It's like, it was a
how to keep
article.
Your cool in high stress situations. Yes.
One of my colleagues sent it to me this morning, and I read it. I'm like, this is exactly what we're talking about. And you mentioned this earlier, like, we're dressed in a similar way, but what's going on is there's a resonance, there's an energy in the space of, we're on the same topic for a reason. It's needed out there in the world. People are wanting to figure out how to keep your cool in high stress situations, because guess what? We've had high stress situations constantly, and even more so in the last year or so. So how to keep your cool is to intercept and take a breath. It's so simple.
Yeah. And it's your responsibility, honestly.
Yes.
Right?
As a leader.
Yes. As a leader, your responsibility is to notice, intercept, and choose.
Yes.
Mic drop. Super simple, right? And how hard is that to do sometimes in high stress? Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. I mean, one of the things I used to do is put like a screenshot on my phone. So every time I went to check something, I might actually now change it to notice, intercept, and choose, honestly. Right?
Love it.
So what can you do? So what other tips to help people be mindful of this in those high stress situations?
Be open to conversation. Never make an assumption, like you were talking about earlier. Our story is not actually always right. I was saying we might have an intuition about something, but we really need the other person's perspective to make sure that we're not creating a story all in our head. Our head is really good at making crap up.
Yep. We're
And
really wired to have things make sense, right? That's how we operate. Yeah. Yeah. I just thought about this. And so for those of you that are parents out there, honestly, any leader, right? This will apply. My daughter and I were talking about her friends, and we moved, and her friendships aren't the same, right? With so many circumstances going on. And the story she's telling, her words were something around the lines of, yeah, he's dropped me, or he's dropped me, she doesn't care, whatever, right? I mean, we feel that way at work. So we had a really long conversation about story and, what are the behaviors? What was actually said? And I think all of us are in this space right now of, yeah, if someone doesn't call back right away, oh yeah, I'm not important, right? Someone doesn't give you perfect code. Oh yeah, they don't care. Somebody yells at you in a meeting. Oh yeah, they're just a jerk. And I just go back to your concept of empathy and compassion, because I really, really believe that people's behavior is telling if you can just look at it and be curious as a scientist, right? A human scientist, not necessarily someone who needs to make sense of it all, but to stay open. And man, we need that. Our kids need it, our partners need it, our teams need it, our customers need it, our planet needs it. We need to be curious.
And what's possible when we can come from this place of curiosity?
Yeah. Yeah. One thought I had when you were talking is accountability buddies, right? Safe
Yeah.
spaces. So, you and I were in a cohort of for accountability reasons. So what are your thoughts on accountability in corporate, right? In tech, where do you see that work?
I see that working. It should be almost as important as having health insurance, right? It's on that level of when you have a safe person you've designed an alliance with that goes, I just need to dump what the stories in my head, and a permission for the other person who's hearing it to go, let me check you on that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Really being in a co-leadership space of like, what is the story? How is it serving me? And what do I want to do with it? And having a partner share that. I see it as like two people leaning into each other.
Yep.
100%, 100%. You're that much stronger than somebody doing 80 and 120, right?
Yeah.
So yes, to accountability partners in that space, building that trust.
Yeah. And so I love what you're saying so much. And I love this visual. And I will add in my own experience. If you find yourself venting and people like not wanting to talk to you as much anymore, you might be not being a good accountability partner, right? You might literally be in burnout mode, right? If it's just a complaint all the time with no reflection or invitation for feedback. One of the things that, one of the compelling moments in my career is I was so done with something. And I went to somebody who I trusted at work, and I sat in the office and I just was like, I don't even have words. I'm so angry, right? And then I started to cry. Now I was talking to a man. And I will just say this to all the men listening in, the person on the other end of me at that moment did exactly what I needed. He did not shut me down. He did not get all weird that I cried, right? I mean, I wasn't sobbing. Like I've had some really sobbing moments. Those don't usually happen at work. It's the leaky stuff that I'm so freaking mad.
Yeah.
It just starts leaking, right? And then the embarrassment kicks in, and then you want to shut it down. But he said, I really want to know what's underneath the tears. Oh my God.
What
I'm like, powerful. I was like, you know what's underneath the tears? Freaking anger. I am pissed off. I am resentful. I've given so much, blah, blah, blah. And I just start, right? And it didn't last long. And so when I calmed down, he's okay, what support do you need? Right? Do you want to talk about it? And I just said, I really just feel better getting it out and letting you know it's worse than I'm letting people know. And what I want you to do is check in with me. Yeah, I just want you to check in with me. And so what did he do? Once a week, checked in with me, right? Didn't hover, didn't raise the red flag, call everybody on me, but just kept an eye on me. And if I could do that over again, I think I would have said to him, now that I've had that experience and I knew I could trust him, I'd say, I really need someone that can hold me accountable. Right? Because what he didn't do in the time, which is exactly right, he didn't tell me I was wrong for my feelings. Like, don't tell someone when they're crying, you don't want to tell them they're wrong. And he's like, what's underneath it, right? But I know he had some opinions about how I was off on a couple of things and I wasn't in the right space. So over time, he would seed that. So I would say one tip would be And I mean, men, I don't know that men cry as much as women in general, but I've seen men cry at work. And I
Mm-hmm.
also know anger is a cry for help, right? Um, I'm not sure I have a tip, but I want your perspective on this. Like, let's dissect my own experience so people on the call can learn from this.
Well, what I took away from it, Lisa, as you're talking, was how powerful it was to be seen. And
Mhm.
sometimes the question that anybody could ask of somebody else is, what do you need right now?
Mhm.
And the right now is the important piece,
Yeah,
because
the right now.
right
Yep.
now it might just be, let me dump it out
Mhm.
and process it. Maybe you're a verbal processor. You just need to dump it out. Or maybe it's like, I need to take the afternoon off.
Mhm.
Right. But you're actually being asked, and the person has an opportunity to check in with themselves, which we don't often give ourselves permission to do, of like, what do I need right now? A good cry, a good vent, some
Mhm.
time off,
Yeah. Yeah.
recharge the battery.
Yeah. When I think about a lot of the people I coach as introverts, they
Mhm.
always they want to keep it every buttoned up, really have it nailed down. And I think if you're in that space where you're really pissed off and you're yelling at someone who's a safe place, or you're crying, and someone were to say, "What do you need right now?" I think the introverts in the room would be like, "I don't freaking know.
It's true.
I
We
don't
don't,
have a
because we don't get
clue."
asked. Yeah, we don't get asked that
Exactly.
question
Exactly.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think an introvert could say, this is my tip for introverts. I don't know right now. As soon as I'm clear, I'll be back with that answer.
Mhm.
How would that land for you if you were the leader? If
If
I were
I
to
was
say
a
that to
leader,
you, yeah, if I'm
yeah.
the introvert in your office and you say, "What do you need right now?" And I'm like, "I don't have a freaking clue, but I really want to get back to you on that. I'm just glad you're listening." Like something like that. I mean, would you respect that person?
Absolutely, because
Yeah.
now they're thinking, like, I
Mhm.
actually can look at myself, not in this moment, I need time to process, but I'm going to start looking at what I need right now.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
permission to go there so
Yep.
many times. I mean, I remember being asked that question coming out of my husband at the time, and I had separated, and I was meeting with a friend, and I was doing my vent session, like, right?
Yep.
And she turned to me and she's like, what do you want right now?
Mhm.
I don't ever remember have being asked that question.
Yeah.
I was
Yep.
like, oh gosh, I have.
Right?
I have an opportunity to ask for what I want.
Yeah. Yep.
It's
Yeah.
mind
I feel you.
blowing.
I feel you so much. Yeah. And one of the things that I've found is I'll say, "How do you want to feel?"
Mm.
So if you don't know what you want, you at least know how you want to feel. And normally people go, "I don't want to feel like this." And then I'll say, "How do you want to feel?" Well, you know what? I want to feel respected. Damn it. I'm sick of this crap. Right? I want to feel considered. Blah, blah, blah. Right? And then you go back into show. I love this so much. Okay. So notice, intercept, choose, right? We've talked so much, Taryn. One question I have for you is, one of the things I know, and I love music so much, one of the things I know is that music can raise your energy. So let's say you're in that office and the person's like, "I don't even know," right? But the people around you know a song that brings you joy or raises your spirits. I would be known to break out YouTube or whatever and put the song on for the person. So if you and I were ever in that situation, what song would be your go-to? What could DJ Lisa play for you?
Oh, it's going to be Katy Perry Roar,
Oh,
right?
right.
Um,
Yep.
just there's so many good pieces of that. There's like personal memories with that song, and just this, I have it within me. I can do this. That
Mm-hmm.
constant encouragement. I have what it takes to do what needs to be done.
I love it. So one final tip here on that for anybody listening is, what's your go-to song? And then make sure whoever you trust knows that song. And
Mm.
I guarantee you, it happened to me the other day with a client. Her song is "What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Stronger." Talk about tech, right? So
Another
she
good
she was
one.
just having a moment. I'm like, "One moment." I go pull it up, play it, and she was all of a sudden like, "I love you. Thank you." Right. And so instead of being pissed off, she was literally like, "I got this." Right. So if you have a song like our friend Taryn does, Katy Perry Roar, let people know what that song is. Let at least one person at work know and be like, "I need, can you play that song for me?" That is a great way to kind of transition right? I mean, for a while, my song was I Don't Care Anymore by Phil Collins. That was not an energizing song. So I had to turn it, right? I was like, that's not serving me. It's spiraling me out of it. But boy, I had to get that out in the vent sessions, right? So song plays a part. And I will hold Katy Perry Roar for you anytime, Taryn.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. I mean, I am so inspired by that. I'm like, oh, I am so going to fold this into my clients. Like,
right?
I want this to be a part of our designing our relationship and coaching. This is awesome.
Absolutely. I love it. Yeah. Well, tell me, how can people find you? So, I mean, listen, you guys have only got a glimpse of Taryn. There's so much she has to offer. I'm a huge fan. How can people listening, if they want to learn more about you and what you do and the services you provide, how can they find you?
Well, I have a pretty strong presence on LinkedIn, so you can follow me there. And it's Taryn Laakso. Laakso is a different spelling. It's Laakso. And it's Finnish, and it's my family name. And my website, www.unlocking with the locking being UNLAAKING, yourpotential.com.
Dude, not only are we dressed the same, have a lot of the same feelings and ideas about things, but we also have names no one can pronounce.
Right.
I never thought about that till right now. So, you know, when you think about your work family, you think about the people you're working with, when you start dressing alike and you start having similar mindsets, you get into high performance. Now, listen, that doesn't mean you don't want diversity of ideas. It doesn't mean you don't want contrarian, devil's advocate folks in there. But guess what? When you trust and like each other, you can do that for each other. You know, you can stay curious. And so that's one thing I hope people can take away from Taryn and I today too, is that it's amazing when you have that baseline of trust, what's possible in being authentic and showing up and asking for what you need, noticing, intercepting, choosing, picking a song, going for it, and not staying stuck. Taryn, it has just been awesome having you today. Thank you so much for showing up and sharing your own story and your tips to help people today. It's so needed, and I love you. I really do. I'm so grateful for you.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. Talk about inspiring women. You are definitely somebody who is inspiring for me ever since we met 2 years ago. I'm like, look at what Lisa is doing in this world, and she's showing up. And so I'm honored to be here with you too, learning and sharing, and just excited about where we are impacting others in this world. And your message is beautiful. So thank you.
Thank you. Yep. Kick-ass results, high performing teams, moments that matter, people, right? Head and heart combined, nothing can stop you. That's beautiful. All right, everyone, make it a great day. Taryn and I are here. If you need us, you know how to find us. It'll be in the show notes, and we're wishing you an awesome day. Take good care.